You are listening to the Bring Joy Forward podcast. Conversations to explore, heal, and grow. You can find us on bringjoyforward.com and join us in our community group on Facebook. We now take you to the episode. Thank you for joining us. Hi, welcome. I am Shannon, a resident artist and magic maker here at Bring Joy Forward. And we wanted to do just a little bit of an introduction about who we are and what we're doing and why we came together. So I thought I'd start with Stacy up in that top middle box. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're doing and what you're passionate about.
All right. My name is Stacy Piccolo. I am the founder and an empowerment coach at Mind Movement Coaching. I am here to support people to be their authentic self and to find that joy and excitement that we all felt when we were young.
Awesome. Marlisa, why don't you tell us a little bit about you?
Hi, Marlisa McLaughlin, the founder and soul person in Marlisa Energy. I'm a energy worker and a vibrational sound therapist. And I think I'm really passionate about finding ways when I'm working with people to help them realize and embody their own healing abilities and to really expand into that space that's their own from the inside out.
Beautiful. And then we have the fabulous Ramona.
Hi, I am Ramona Crabtree Faulkner, owner of Authentic Life Journey, and I am a Reiki master, yoga teacher, mindfulness coach, wielder of many magical things. And my entire purpose is to support people in stepping into their greatness, to feel empowered in their lives, and ultimately to move out of fight or flight into rest and digest, because we spend way too much time running.
True story. And the equally fabulous Shannon.
Hey, y'all. Shannon Brown here from Texas. Yay. I'm an energy facilitator. So I like to help and teach people how to use their own energy in their own healing journey. And so that so many different modalities. I am also a Reiki master. I use a lot of EFT tapping and many other modalities. And I continue to expand my knowledge of all that is out there. So yeah, it's just all about coming together and having a joyful journey.
I love it. And I am Shannon Dias. I am a certified personal coach, and I utilize art and magic mostly to help you tap into your inner child, find different ways to just remember that you have a little child in there that maybe wants to be on the outside a little bit more. Life is really challenging, and sometimes we forget about all those things. So I utilize a lot of play to get into that space. And then I also do some grief coaching as well. And I do that with art and magic and play as well, because it's, I think, really important to not only allow those spaces for you to heal and process, but also to, challenge yourself a little bit to get out of those spaces. And so that's inspiring and yeah, just tapping into that joy, like Shannon mentioned. That's a big part of it. And I think we are all together for various reasons, but we keep kind of bumping into each other, through the years. And, we've had sessions with each other, friendships, and we all are doing this life where we're wanting to incorporate and do that thing, bring joy forward, and reach as many people as possible, and just have a joyful experience ourselves in that process. We wanted our work to also not be work, and bring it together, I think. And so for me, the community aspect of what we're doing is by far the most important thing, I think. And I'm really looking forward to just what we're going to do together, do individually. And actually, before we talk about that too, let me just say that, we're coming together 5 individual businesses, and we have our own businesses and do, our own services, but we came together as a group and as a community to bring those together and to offer more things and to do some, unique things, I think, along the way. And we've already started doing that in our Facebook group and in our private group. And we're doing that pretty much on a daily basis. We're in there, and it's my goal for us to be a space where we are offering resources. Like we say, our tagline is community and resources to explore, heal, and grow together. And for me, that just sums it up. So it's what I can do as a human walking this challenging earth to come together and offer that up for someone else. So let's talk a little bit about like that community aspect, and maybe a little bit about specifically too, you as a practitioner, what are you bringing from your specific organization? Like, what are you bringing into this that you're most excited about offering, I guess? And let's start with Ramona, because nobody jumped in. I'm going to pick it. You guys know how this works.
You go.
Yeah.
Welcome to the community.
Yeah.
So I think what I bring is a culmination of all the things that I do. It just really is dependent upon where I'm feeling inspired and the call to action. Like what's the need? So if you look at all that we have to bring together, we all cross over in some way. And so it's lovely for me to co-create with another practitioner and for us to bring our magic together and really invite the participants to have this very expansive experience, because then you're gaining more than one person's perspective. I'm rooted in yoga as my spiritual path, and so I bring a lot of mindfulness tools. I'm going to bring meditation, energy work. I also do sound healing. It's really a lot about the mindfulness approach. Like, how are you looking at your life, and are you actually approaching it from where you want to be, or the triggers and this trapped emotions and the trapped energies in your body that are keeping you stuck or blocked. And so a lot of my modalities are going to be through communication, because we're moving energy that way, and then tapping into the chakras and saying, okay, which one of these chakras is talking to me by what you're saying, and then gifting to help with you harnessing your healing power. Because as a healer, it is not my job to heal you, it is your job to show up, and I get to hold a sacred safe container with you, and then you can take the intuitive guidance, you can take the communication that we have and apply it, because that's really where the healing begins, is by you stepping in and claiming your power and claiming your ability to do this work.
I love that. And I think that that's one of the main unifying factors for all of us. I think, that active approach, and that expectation. And, even I mentioned grief earlier, like in the active approach to go, and that mindset, to make those little steps and to go forward. A big part of my practice is to be in the moment and really help people be in that moment, because I think that's more than anything else, that's the thing that I learned the most that was missing in my life and my before, was that, that ability to just really dive in and put everything else. We're sitting in this room, 5 people, and I'm this is my space. Nothing else exists, outside of that. And so it's those little things, but that ability to make that choice to do that is I think a big part of what kind of ties us all together. We're empowering everybody to do that in different ways. Stacy uses some pretty unique ways to do that too. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. First, I just feel like we do a lot of healing in community. Like, that's where you can do a certain amount of healing by yourself, but also it's like we laugh together, we cry together, we move together, we experience joy together. And so a couple of the ways that I like to move this energy. One is with dancing mindfulness, which is, like Shannon was saying, it's a practice of presence. So it's you're moving your body, excuse me, and all of your attention is with your body as it moves. And so as you like do this practice with a group of other people, you just become your attention is completely on movement, and it's fun and it's very joyful practice. I also offer Yoga Nidra, which I think many of us are very familiar with, but it's an ancient technique where you bring a person down through descending brainwave states so that the mind can take a back seat and the body has a chance to heal itself. So those are the two main things.
Beautiful. That mind taking the back seat is such a crucial part, I think, of we're running in this society super fast, and ego is getting in the way all the time. And so the ability to put ourselves into those situations where we are coming out of ourselves a little bit, and just allowing, for that process to take place. Marlisa, tell us a little bit about what you do. I mean, obviously, you and I have worked together, and I am just in love with the way that you play with what you do. But tell us a little bit about all your services that you've got going on over there.
No, it's really funny because I'm listening to all of you guys and I'm thinking that's exactly what I might have said myself, and maybe to different degrees.
Yeah.
I think that one of the most exciting things for me is that presence of moment to show up for someone as a mirror, and disarm expectation and judgment, and all of the things that the mind does that get in the way of being able to just be in a simple space where there's only really two things going on. And when you can identify that, you have more room to organically make these shifts. So, for instance, I like to break it all down. Shannon and I also do some work I with grief and grief support. And I learned a lot through that, having been through grief since very young and also assisting others, is that there's, the simpler you can get, the easier things can come to you. Like my favorite thing when I learned about Kubler-Ross, when I started writing my grief book, there was nothing much on the internet except archaic information and the Kubler-Ross 5 stages of death and dying, which most people think is about helping people grieve, but it was really about the study of people who were dying, right? So we had these stages in place and these ideas, and people who are lost in their depths of suffering and emotion didn't know where to go. And it helped me understand really the thing that was really mind-blowing for me was the simplicity of only having two emotions and everything else falling underneath: love or fear. And when you think about it, any emotion that you feel gets processed through those two polarities. And in that way, you can say that I'm either contracting, which is in the fear mode, or I'm expanding. And so keeping the breath open or feeling it tight reflects that too. So there's all these like really easy ways to break everything down into two simple points when you can get to that, or to help someone realize that so that it's not overwhelming, because I think that word could take over the turn of the century and define what's happened since technology took over. So any way that we all can help one another realize this and slow it down and take a breath, which I need right now. I do. I get all excited. I was contracting. I was not expanding. It's really it. And laughter. Like that's one of the things I love about our group. We are always laughing, and we're not trying to make one another laugh. It's just a natural shared sense of that reality, that basic bottom line is, let's not take this all too seriously. Let's find out where we land in the moment and share that. And naturally, humor bubbles up, for all those reasons, for monkey mind getting in the way and all of that. So, and I just want to maybe add that my favorite way to get that brainwave state into that place where we can start to get calmer and into a deeper meditation is through sound. Because when I was working with people just with energy and yoga, I was realizing that my clients weren't taking their, embodying their healing abilities. They were always passing it back to me saying, thank you for healing me. And I would always have to say, wait a second, remember in the beginning, we discussed that I'm assisting and supporting you and you heal yourself, right? We're all self-healing units. So I was thinking, how could I get a passive, active participation from clients? And that was with sound. So I started with the tuning forks, because you're hearing the sound, but you're not thinking the sound is really doing much else, because it's that passive active hearing. But when you start to really actively listen, that can also support and feed into your own ability to navigate your environment just through vibration. And it's not overwhelming. It's a natural extension of a sense that we don't often hail and recognize. A lot of the other senses, I think, have, for lack of a better word, taken a front seat and a priority. And sound is kind of like just there in the background unless you lose it, right? Just like any ability that we have physically, if you don't have it or it gets hindered, then you realize how important it was.
Well, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's why I brought sound in, and the more I learn about it, the more I bring it into all the things.
You mentioned, excuse me, not realizing, how it's there. Before we started our recording, we were all kind of getting set up, and we were listening and making sure everything sounded okay. And we had an issue with some noise in the background that we really didn't all hear until that noise was pointed out. And I think that's how sound works in our life. We are not aware how noisy everything is until we get into those quiet places and turn it off. And unless you've had a sound healing experience, you don't have any comprehension of how dramatic that is to just have those, sound waves off of you. And real quick, before I throw it to Shannon, I just want to add too that we didn't really talk about it yet, but everything that we do is all stemmed from energy. We are all energy workers, and we all are. Every aspect of our lives has that awareness of how the energy is flowing and working within it. And sound healing is a big part of, that energy exchange that we don't have awareness of until it actually happens. And, you're talking about stress and coping mechanisms and things like that. And it's a perfect segue to bring us into Shannon, because Shannon's been, for quite some time, has been leading people through a lot of different ways of just coping through the everyday stresses that we have in our life. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
So, yeah, I think we all have those stresses. Some of us are, I have ailing parents, and then I'm also taking care of my 2 young grandkids. And so they're kind of the same at the moment. And so that is a huge stress. Plus, I have lost some important people in my life in the last couple of years. And honestly, one of the things that we do on the Bring Joy Forward group.com is a journaling thing that Marcia, one of our other participants, does. And this morning it was on shadow work, because Stacy had mentioned shadow work this week on Facebook. And then I did some tapping on it, to clue in. And when I started writing about it, it took me back to the last 7 years of my life, which has multiple changes. I probably had 6 different jobs. I've moved 5 different times. I mean, and I'm going like, oh my God, girl, you're rocking it, because there's some days I'm just like, can I make it through this day? Can I make it? And it's not a suicidal, can I make it through this day? I'm not there. It's just that things pile up. And so that's why I continue to find different modalities of what will work for me today, because some days, yeah, my background or my spiritual compass is Reiki. I absolutely love the energy of Reiki. I love giving Reiki, but I more love teaching Reiki because I love to empower people to do for themselves. But it also feels good to receive it from somebody else, where you can let go and just say, okay, take me away, Calgon, right? So, and then I also love teaching EFT and then the soul painting that I do too. But I'm finding, and I don't know if this is true with y'all, but I'm finding that some of those modalities that I've always gone to just aren't working these days. There's such a different energy that I'm feeling in the world around me and the people around me, that I continue to have to learn new ways to, not that the other ones I don't still go to. I mean, but it just seems like these times call for, I don't know, more expansion. I guess that's what it is. And maybe it's that also could be that as I grow, because I can see my growth, as I grow, then that opens up for me to be able to expand more. And that could be too. And so that's why we gather together, is so we can learn from each other and say, oh yeah, you know what? The best thing for me to do is to put on some music and just dance it out, like Stacy. Or, it may be just like, hey, Ramona, can we do some session? Or, can we do this week? Because this is what I need to do a release from this person's energy, and I just can't do it by myself. So yes, we learn these tools and we continue to use them with ourselves, but sometimes just reaching out and having that friend, or, hey, Shannon, let's color, So again, that's what excites me about this group, is that we are all bringing our gifts together. Some of them overlap, but then we also are coming from a different experience of using those gifts. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm excited. Yeah.
I think, the explore is first in that tagline for a reason. I think, you just kind of touched on it a little bit, like some of the things aren't working. I think in general, like, you have to continuously adapt and shift, and there's so much out there in general in the world, so in our lifetime, we're not going to learn all the things that are happening out there and all of the different ways that, that we can heal and grow. So for me, like, I'm constantly experiencing new things, because you never know, where that next breakthrough is going to come in. You touched a little bit about, you were talking about, shadow work, and Stacy had jumped in our Facebook group and was sharing some things on there. That whole flow of how that came together, where it starts with one person, and then somebody else picks up something else and does something else with it, and then it flows into the next thing. And to me, that's what I'm the most excited about here, because I just think there is so much incredible, I'm going to use the word talent, even though it doesn't really make sense, but it really does, because it's like every individual has their own unique gifts that they offer to the world, right? And then some of us take those gifts and then we expand on them, and then we expand again and we do more things with them. And I kind of feel, like I wake up every day and am just in awe of all of you, and just so appreciative of this community space that we're in, because for me, it's my gift to myself every day. And that's what I'm trying to create in everything that I'm doing, with this, in all of the aspects, is just that safe space for everyone to come together as a leader or as someone who is just exploring, and all be in that, one soup, so to speak, together. And because we're all learning from each other all the time. And my favorite thing is when somebody is like, I don't have anything, we have someone in our community who just keeps telling us that she's not a leader, and we just go, okay. And but she is, but she's not ready to take that leap yet. So we're just holding that space, for her while she's going through that. everybody kind of touched a little bit on what it is they're doing. My company is Imagine If Media. I've been in the creative services and communications field for about, I think I'm getting pretty old now. I think it's like 25 years or something. I've been doing that now. And I made a shift about 10 years ago when I discovered more about energy work. And Ramona and I have talked about this a lot of times because Ramona's opened up my eyes to a lot of different things that I hadn't experienced. And then I bring in I said magical at the beginning. In all my practices are pagan, and everything that I do is all centered with the earth. And so I do a lot of tarot and a lot of just like I said, with the earth and astrology and just connecting us in ways that we're maybe not paying attention to all of the time. And then the other word that we didn't bring up yet really, and it's in Ramona's name, is authentic. And I think that's another thing that we're really trying to hold the space for everyone to be authentic, because it's very crowded and noisy. And, Marlisa brought up, how much of the stress that we've all been under, and the world has changed so many different ways. So this is a container for everybody to come in, and it's a safe space to go through and learn all of those different things. And just like any other community, there's free things and there's paid things, and and you can be a part of it as much as you want to be a part of it, in whatever calls to you. But that's the biggest thing for me, is just holding that container, that safe space, so that we can authentically, work our way through it and have fun while we're doing it, because I don't want to be doing it if it's not fun.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that we are this group of 5 women right now that are very aware of our energy, the energies of what's going on in the world. And we have a synergistic energy. So something that is more than just the sum of its parts. So Shannon Diaz does awesome things and Marlisa does awesome things. But when we come together, the energy that we generate and the container that we can build is so much bigger than just what any one of us can do added up together. So it's really nice to be able to have that place to connect, that place to heal, to just build something so that other people can kind of weave themselves into it, and it gets bigger and bigger, and it's like this beautiful web of support and kindness and love, and something for us to all be able to participate in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. Excuse me. I want to take a second and just have everybody, we talked a little bit about what it is that we're doing and what it is that we're bringing, but talk about who are you reaching? Who needs this the most? I might be putting you on the spot a little bit.
Well,
but that's what we do here. We challenge each other to do things.
One of the most obvious to me that comes to mind and I think you would all agree, I mean, everybody is struggling with just managing. And like you said, getting through the day. And in our energy field, there's a lot of held energy patterns that need to be released. And a lot of them are trauma based, which means a lot of our behaviors and reactions are trauma informed. And when everything's moving so fast, a lot of times we don't have a chance to stop, take that breath, and recognize that, so that we can make supportive decisions for ourselves, even if it's the supportive moment of taking that breath or not, as simple as that. So, I mean, it's anybody. We can all work with children all the way up to, the elders. It's really anybody that wants to be in a safe space, so they can just release the tension of trying and just be. So to be able to reflect and find a sense of peace, even if it's just for a moment, so all the other things can organically occur, just as we amplify our energy together as individual people coming to each one of us, I see that happens a lot with my clients. And I hear it from all of you. Like, what you're providing for people is unconditional love, really. And we all need it. So I think across the board, it's anybody is who we're reaching out to.
I agree. I do know that I attract a very specific community, and it's women. And most of the women that I attract are going to be women that are lost. Like, they have lost their sense of individuality, and they've lost their sense of purpose. They feel blocked from knowing what steps to take. They've participated in paradigms of belief over and over and over again that all of a sudden they're like, this isn't working. And I will say that, interestingly enough, I thought it was women over 40, and then all of a sudden Spirit gave me like 4 younger clients that are between the age of 21 and 35, and I'm like, okay, so it's all women. So that doesn't mean that I don't work with men or children either. It just means, but my call, my purpose is to empower other women to step into their greatness completely, and to work through the cobwebs of the mind, the cobwebs of the energy body that are trapping energies and trapping beliefs and trapping thoughts and trapping trapping you into a corner that is no longer serving you, because we all have a purpose on this planet. It is not just to be a daughter, a son, a wife, a husband, a child. It is much bigger than that. And I agree with you, Marlisa. It is to be the love that we naturally are, and that we have veils of illusion that we are not.
Well said.
So it's about waking up to remembering who we truly are.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah. And you do some pretty interesting things specifically in that awareness and waking people up, which we haven't talked about at all. Do you want to jump into that a little bit?
I don't know which ones you're talking about.
I mean, it's all of them, but
laundry list.
Yeah, there is.
I have been in the holistic wellness field for 20 years. And so I started out as a massage therapist, and then moved to yoga, and then moved to Reiki, and then moved to craniosacral therapy and sound healing, and like, I keep adding on. And but the reality is that's how I've been able to continue to be in this industry that I'm in. And a lot of that came from my own trauma, my own pain, my own suffering, having to find ways to heal myself. And then I felt called to pass it forward. And so for me, authenticity is about recognizing that you're a mess and a goddess all in the same breath. And my experience has been that that's not allowed.
Yeah.
That you have
well,
to
and
be,
I think that's the norm.
Yeah.
I think, yeah,
It's
that's
common.
very common.
Right. And so one of the most recent, I think you're referring to one specific thing. So one of the most recent things that I picked up is past life regression work. And this work is unbelievable, what I have seen my clients experience in these regressions, whether it's in a group setting or privately. The transformations that have occurred by simply being able to acknowledge that something that's not working is a karmic debt, that when they come out, all of a sudden it's gone. Like, and I'm telling you, that's how a lot of this energy work occurs, is when you actually let yourself really get vulnerable, really let yourself go there. Listen, I don't do anything light. We do it deep. We go there.
Right, straight to the point.
Yep.
Right. Like
Yep.
I'm not interested in talking about the sunshine and the rain clouds. I want to get into the depths of your soul with you and show you that it's okay and you can bring light into those spaces. And when you bring light into those spaces, then you have this amazing ability to claim it. And if you can claim even the ugliness, like I'm almost in tears saying this, if you can claim even the ugliness, then your magic is going to start shining through you with ease. Because that's what I meant when I started doing divine feminine work. Maybe I didn't say that today. Maybe I said that to somewhere else. Anyway, so I did a lot of divine feminine work a few years ago and fully claimed every aspect of myself instead of damning the things that I thought were bad.
Yes.
And so that is probably why I say I'm called to work with women, because I had to come out of believing that I wasn't valuable, I wasn't beautiful, I wasn't magical, I wasn't good enough, like devaluing myself. All of that, I had to go through the depths of my hell to bring myself to the light. And I still experience that today. You can ask Shannon. I had a week. And I have the tools and I have the support system and I have the resources to process through it, to allow myself to have the ugly cry and to ultimately find the answers when I can sit at the table with everything. There's a Rumi quote that I absolutely love. I'm going to completely butcher it, but it's called the guest. I think it's called the guest house or the guest. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to give you my version of it at this moment because I can't repeat it exactly. But it is when the ugliness comes to the door, open the door, let it in, let it tossle up the house, let it completely turn everything upside down, honor it, let it show up, let it be there. Because then when it leaves, there's a whole new way. Like you can shift. But it's about really allowing yourself to get there. So that is not the actual quote. It's actually a poem now that I'm thinking about it. But it's such a beautiful message. And it was one that really woke me up. And then it's been something that I pass on to my clients when I can see that they're resisting allowing their authenticity to come through. Because, listen, I'm going to cry and that's okay. And I'm not going to apologize for it anymore.
Right. I actually love crying.
I did. Yeah. While you're crying, I'll read you the quote that I just looked up for you. For the poem.
Thank
Guest
you.
House. This being human is a guest house. Every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Yeah. And I will say that when I found that message, that was when I started using what is the gift of this situation? What is the gift that I'm being given by having this experience? Because even the ugly things have a gift. And actually, they're usually the best gifts, even though they don't look like it at the time.
Yeah.
So,
and those are very hard.
I think was, yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And so past life regression is something that I really love doing and I love supporting others in experiencing. And like I said, I have such a laundry list. I was like, I'm not going to list everything out, but know that I love supporting other people to find their truth and to live it out loud, to create the life they actually want to be living and not the life that they are passively creating through old paradigms of belief.
Yep, I love it. Yeah, you have to strip it away. Stacey, you were starting to talk a little bit about about the good cry, and you
Yeah.
mentioned the other day that people come to you and say, "Can we do shadow work?"
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people that don't even know, they don't know what shadow work is, or maybe they've heard the term thrown around because it's kind of a, kitschy thing to say now, shadow work. But, when we're talking about that, we're talking about, just what Ramona was saying, like all of those things and, up in our feelings and all of those places that we put things into the shadow so that they're not in the light. We're not looking at them right now. And we put them there, but that doesn't mean we're supposed to put them there and leave them there forever. We go in and out of that shadow. And go ahead, tell us a
Well,
little bit
yeah,
about.
when we put these parts of ourselves into the shadow, they're not gone. That's the thing. Like we think, oh, people can't see them. Oh no, we don't do those things. But yes, we do. And actually they will come out in other ways. They like your trauma will spill onto people if you don't address it, if you don't acknowledge it, if you don't own it. So there are, parts of us that need our attention, and you can look at it as a self-love thing. So how would I love myself if I can't stand half of the parts of myself? This isn't possible. And like Ramona was saying, we don't want people to be afraid to feel their own emotions. And everything that you said, finding your authenticity and finding the gift, that doesn't happen until you feel this stuff. It sucks. It feels scary. It's not going to kill you, but we have to go through the whole process, moving the energy in our body and, working with it. And also sitting in a circle of non-judgmental people or women or whoever. This is such a gift. And I love to lead sharing circles. I forgot to mention that, but we will, be there to witness each other in everything, in the celebration, in the horrible things that can come in life and everything. So I kind of feel like, especially over the past few years, our trauma has compounded or become more complex. So now it's like, stuck more, and people are digging in more, and their ego is blasting out more. And, we don't know how to handle it. So our gifts are needed so hugely. And I just hope people realize and find their way to us or other healers, whoever, to become their authentic self, like you were saying, and just drop, like, not drop, but, work through or work around or work with the energy that is stuck in your body or whatever you'd like to say. But also, I just want to mention for who I work with, there's different groups of people I feel like I serve. One is definitely women. That just feels very natural to me, to just be in a circle of women, to support them. I just know myself as a woman very deeply, so I feel like I can support other people for what I've been through. And also the LGBTQIA plus community. There's some really awful, harmful laws that are being passed in the past months, but especially against trans people, and just erasing any gay, trans, queer, anything from school to even say that we exist. And it's so deeply, deeply hurtful. And, especially in Florida. So what I did was I created an LGBTQIA plus well-being and community building retreat so that we could be together, feel how we feel, and then find the joy that is inherent in our group. Like some of the most fun times in the world that I've had is because I'm gay and I get to do these gay activities, So I really want to amplify that for us right now. And it's almost like I can't even say it's a healing retreat, because when you're in the midst of trauma, I don't think that's a time when you can heal, but we can come together and we can focus on our self-care and our well-being. So this is one group I'm passionate about serving. And the other thing is, I lived in a spiritual community for a couple of years, and I noticed people's tendency to kind of float up in the clouds with all the love and light and not look at, like Ramona was saying, any of the difficult realities of our human world. And that really didn't serve them too well. I mean, there was people like, giving away all their belongings and not having what they need, like their root chakra, like, you know what I mean? So I just saw a lot of bad effects.
We have this body for a reason.
Right. So I'm just a big proponent of a more grounded spirituality. So yes, I love the connection to energy and the connection to the universe spirit that I have, but also to be grounded in my humanness and accepting of myself as a human being, not just a being. So people who are kind of real about things, not just people who are super duper spiritual and that's all they look at. So like people who encompass the whole humanity being thing that we're in, like you all, it sounds like. So yeah,
That's what I teach. We're 100% human and 100% spirit, and the heart is the center of it all. I love the circle work as well. I think that is where we actually have the opportunity to cultivate honoring vulnerability, because vulnerability has been so shut down, is in my opinion. The moms that think they have to do it all and they don't lean into anybody, and then they're 40 years old and they have breast cancer because they've worked themselves down into the ground and felt like they had to do it all. Like, our body physically responds to what we're doing to it, mentally and emotionally and spiritually. So if you don't know how to be vulnerable, it's really hard to do that without a safe container. And so sacred circles are really, really, really important, I think, for all of us in this community, to invite vulnerability, to invite safety and security. And one of the things I always say in anything that I do with groups, whether it's retreat, whether it's circle, whether it's just a workshop, is especially when someone is offering their authentic pain into the space, is I hear you, I see you, and I honor you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is something that we don't say to people.
Right.
Yeah.
I think people, sometimes things are so heavy or so difficult that we literally can't witness them on our own. We almost need help to witness it. Like, we need support. And I think crying is something, like you're talking about the woman who does it all herself, takes care of the whole family, all that stuff. Crying is just not acceptable to them. And I've heard many women in circles or in, yoga classes start to cry and apologize for themselves. Be like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cry. But like, please do. This is a beautiful release of energy. It's a beautiful release of stress. And I actually grew to love the act of crying. Like, literally the way my eyes well up, the way my cheeks feel, like the tears rolling down my face, like the whole thing, because I also feel it's such a beautiful thing to do. And like, I think Marlisa was saying, like, someone's eyes get really beautiful and bright. Like, after they let everything out, they look really clear. That's my experience. Yes, exactly. It's a cleanse. It's literally water pouring out of your face,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the two types of crystallization also are tears. The tears are very different, crystallized from emotional release versus going out in the elements and whatever. Completely different biochemistry in those tears. So we need the release. It's awesome. An essential piece to our human makeup.
Absolutely. I love it. Yes.
Right.
Well, I love what Shannon had said earlier about when she introduced me, the everyday things. So I'm listening to Stacy and Ramona, and the vulnerability is so important to me. Like, right now, like I said, I'm going through some stuff with my parents, and it's taken a lot out of me. And my husband has kind of stepped in, and he's been cooking dinner like the last couple months for the most part. And I'm having a hard time not feeling bad for him doing it. Now, why I should feel bad, because I do cook lunch. He comes home for lunch, and yes, he works, but I also work all day too with the grandkids. And sometimes I think I work harder than he does.
Yeah.
It's just from what I hear. He's like, oh no, we sat around and watched videos all day. And I'm like, oh, I didn't have that, listen to kids scream at each other or whatever. But I'm struggling right now with, it's okay for him to take care of me, because his parents passed a while back. So he never had to go through the aging parent thing. And plus, when his parents we're sick. His sisters did it all because we didn't live in the same state and stuff. I'm the only one right now. So he doesn't know this is his way of helping me. And I'm really having to dig deep and say it's okay for him to take care of me because I really need him to.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, embrace that, girl.
But at the same time, I'm having to work through that. I should be doing this, because it's been my job forever, So yeah, that's that. And then I loved earlier when Marlissa was talking about breaking things down to simplicity, right? So I've decided in November I'm going to take a gratefulness journey. I try to do this every November, and I'm like, okay, November 1st, I'm going to do one gratefulness. And then the second, I'm going to do two. And I'm going to go through and do it, all the way up to 30. I'm going to have 30 things I'm going to list. Well, then when I went and did the numbers, it was like 456 things I have to be grateful for. I'm like, holy crap, that's a lot of things, And then this is my monkey mind and my ego. And I said, okay, well, how many days have you been alive? And it's about 22,500 days that I've been alive. I'm like, you can't come up with 456 things to be grateful for. So again, I had to break it down to my head and then it was just going, we can't do this, which I know I can come up with 456 things to be grateful for because I live a very blessed life. But again, so I love how just like everybody's coming together, like Marlissa, let's make it simple. Stacy, go ahead and cry. Okay, I will. I might do it in my car by myself, but I will, and then Ramona, like, let's be vulnerable about it, which I'm pretty good about that. I mean, when something's happening, I let my friends know. Everybody knows what's happening in my life, but that's just how I get it out. And then Shannon says, come on, let's play, and I love how we have all these gifts and that we're integrating them. And it's not like there's just not one solution,
Yeah.
Right. We
Well,
have to
and
attack it
Shannon
from multiple
says,
ways.
Yeah. And Shannon Brown says, I'm just going to bring all heart.
All the time in abundance too. Great abundance.
Yes.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think though, like we are taking a holistic approach, and I think Marlisa said it earlier that I forget now what I was going to say.
My brain does that all the time.
So we just have to go at things from different ways. We can't just do this one thing. Shannon was saying that. We can't just do this one thing and it works and it's always going to work because our trauma is getting more complex collectively. So we have to take a holistic approach, and what each of us bring is super special. And I mean, like, say someone, had time with each of us with our favorite modality. That person is addressing like their trauma, their humanness, their need for connection in so many different ways. How could they not have huge benefits, and be able to just live a more joyful life? I mean, I don't mean to brag about us, but you know what I'm saying.
No, brag, because we don't do it enough. So go ahead.
Well, it's really an appreciation, isn't it? It's the awareness of that, amplifying energy together when you feel so easy and communing and communicating, and we have the same intention and purpose. It's joyful. It's just
well, and I think the other thing about the needing different things is that sometimes our body's like, okay, I've received all I can receive of that right now, and so we really need to bring something else in. Shannon, do you mind if I share the story about? Okay. So when I went to Texas a few months ago, Shannon was having an issue with her knee. And I said, hey, why don't we try this other modality that I do? It's called cranial sacral therapy. She was like, what's that? So I came and we did the session, and she was like, oh my gosh, I feel movement in my leg, which she hadn't felt in however long. And she'd been doing all these other things. And then we introduced something completely different, and her body went, oh, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then she found somebody to help her that did the same technique. And where are you now?
yeah, so yeah, I had gotten up to the point where I couldn't walk without hobbling, and then that was my left knee, and then my right knee was like, screw this, I'm going to be upset too because I'm no longer going to carry all this weight. You have to figure it out. And I just kept going, what else do I need to do? I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm trying all these different things. And then this happened with Ramona, and then I found somebody local, and we did 3, and I'm not saying I'm 100% where I would love to be, but I'm saying I can walk. And when my husband even noticed, like, holy cow, you're walking, not limping, not dragging.
Awesome.
And when you're, and I know we've all experienced this, and everybody out there, when you're in pain, I mean, it was literally, it would take me an hour and a half to do something that should have taken me 15 minutes. Like going to feed the birds, letting the chicken out, feeding the donkey and the goat. I mean, normally I can do that 15 to 20 minutes because I'm running around. It was an hour and a half. And I'm like, I don't have. And I got to the point, I was in so much pain. I got to the point where it's like, if I got one thing done during the day, I had to be happy with it, and I'm not that kind of person. I'm a list person. I can get 20 things done today,
Or 456 grateful list.
So I'm just, yes. So that's, again, what this group is about. We come together, we'll try this, and then continue expanding our knowledge of what is available and what is it that, and then I've done some, honestly, last week, Ramona, you had the group past life regression, and I was the only one that showed up, so I got a private one, which is cool. And we went to a past life where I found out where my chronic knee problem is from. Now, I'm not saying it's 100% good, but
So putting it all together,
information now, I can say, okay, this is from here. What is it that I need to heal from that lifetime? What are the modalities? So again, I get so excited about all this work.
I love your passion. I absolutely love your passion. But that's the whole thing, right? Like, we're bringing, it's not just us. There's 5 of us in this space right now, right?
Yeah.
But it's every member of the community is bringing an opportunity for someone else to find something else that they need. And that's, I think, the biggest, I don't know if it's a difference. I think it's a difference because I haven't found it yet, which is why we created this. But that's the biggest thing for me, is that, like, we are all on the same stage, right? We're in the same group circle. We're on the same stage. We all have different things that we're bringing to it, but every single member of the community has immense value, and we're all going to tap in and learn things from each other and expand. And I think the step of making the choice, because this is where everything lies for me. You have to, in order for you to make any changes in your life, in order for you to be healed in any capacity, in order for you to feel lighter, for you to be less stressed, all of those things, every single one of those things starts with a choice that you have to make. And that's usually you having an awareness of it, and then having an intention to do something about that awareness. And then people forget that last step, which is the action of putting that in place. And I think so often we see all this stuff, online, or a friend tells us about something, or we do something, we're like, hey, that was great, and that's it. And then we walk away and we don't do it anymore. But it's that action. You have to have all of those pieces in order for you to consistently walk the same, life of having abundance and having, the health that you need. And for me, that's what this is all about. This is about giving everybody that opportunity to come in, to take things, that they need, to drop things off that might be useful for someone else. And just provide that space to, again, go back to what Ramona said earlier. I see you, I hear you, and I honor you. And that's what I think, in its simplicity, that's really what we're trying to do in this space.
Well said.
I-
Good job.
Thank you. I get a cookie.
Gold star.
A cookie and a gold star. Well, we're coming up on an hour, which is as per usual. When we start talking, we can go for a while. So I'm actually I'm pretty pleased that we wrap this all up at an hour. Like, look at us go, right? So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who have stayed with us through this journey, through some tears and some laughter, which is pretty typical of what you're going to find in the Bring Joy Forward community. All of our names and businesses are listed on here. So feel free to, do some Googles and go to our websites and things like that. But you can find all of us at bringjoyforward.com. We're also on Facebook. On Bring Joy Forward, we have a Facebook page and a community group. So we'd love to see you there, and we appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.
You have been listening to the Bring Joy Forward podcast. Conversations to explore, heal, and grow. You can find us at bringjoyforward.com, and we'd love to have you join us in our community Facebook group. Thank you for listening.